The gentlelady from Louisiana. Do you have an amendment at the desk?
Mr. Chairman, I have amendment Letlow 014 MSPA penalty at the desk.
The clerk will report the amendment.
This is the amendment in the nature of a substitute to the committee print offered by Ms. Letlow of Louisiana, identifier Letlow_014.
The gentleman from California.
I reserve a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
The point of order is reserved, and the gentlelady from Louisiana is recognized for 5 minutes on behalf of her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm concerned that this legislation includes unprecedented increase to civil penalties for numerous businesses and industries. These provisions will make it harder for business owners to operate and keep their doors open in an already difficult environment. Unfortunately, new penalties will open Pandora's box for employers and give agencies incentives to find more reasons to fine hardworking business owners. I'm especially concerned on the impact these provisions will have on the farmers and the agriculture sector in Louisiana and across the country. One of the detrimental provisions included in the committee print increases the maximum penalty for a violation of the Migrant and Seasonal Agriculture Worker Protection Act. The penalty would change from $2,549 to $25,790. This is a whopping 912% increase. Let me be clear, if a business violates a regulation, they should be held accountable for their actions. However, financial accountability should be a stern rebuke. It should not be a fatal mistake that extinguishes businesses which provide good jobs to rural communities. No farmer or producer should be in danger of losing their business or halting their operations based off a single penalty. This unreasonable increased penalty will threaten rural America and is a blatant and unfair attack on agriculture. In fact, I heard directly from a small family crawfish farm in my state on this issue. These farmers expressed that this increased penalty would be detrimental for not only Louisianians, but all employers who are involved in the Migrant and Seasonal Agriculture Workers Program. Therefore, I'm offering an amendment that removes this harmful provision from the legislation. My amendment will strike the massive penalty increase and allow for current penalties to remain. We must stand up for the farmers and producers that faithfully feed our country. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you. The gentlelady yields back. Does anyone seek time on the amendment? Gentlelady from North Carolina, Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to strike the last word and speak in opposition to the amendment.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Farm workers who work under difficult and dangerous conditions to ensure America has an abundant and safe food supply are among our nation's most vulnerable workers. And even before the pandemic, farm workers were vulnerable. Farm workers reported average hourly earnings of $10.60 in 2015 to 2016. About 1/3 of farm workers had annual total family income below the poverty line. The Migrant and Seasonal Agricultural Worker Protection Act is a key federal law protecting vulnerable farm workers and sets wage, record-keeping, transportation, and housing standards. Increasing the civil monetary penalties for violations of this law would provide the Wage and Hour Division with the enforcement tools needed to prevent and combat violations. This is not about punishing law-abiding farmers. We know some of America's farmers have been hit hard, and those who follow the law will not be impacted by this. And states have shown that strong protections for farm workers and a thriving agricultural industry are compatible. Data from 2018 show that there were approximately 46,400 farms in North Carolina. That's a lot of farms and farm workers who need protection. So we need to understand that these workers need protection so that we can, quite literally, enjoy the fruits and vegetables of their labor. These revenues from the increase of penalties for lawbreakers will allow us to invest in the Wage and Hour Division's budget. This provision will provide the agency with necessary resources to hold employers accountable for violations of the law. I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. Gentlelady yields back. Does anyone else seek recognition on the amendment? If not,
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw my reservation.
the gentleman from California withdraws his reservation, and the question is on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Louisiana. All that favor the amendment will vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed will vote no.
No.
No. Noes appear to have it,
Mr. Chairman, I request a recorded vote.
and a recorded vote is requested, and that will be considered when the other amendments are considered. Does the gentlelady from Louisiana have another amendment?